I'm here to introduce Lena Borsellino, someone who I had the pleasure to meet when she was 10 years old. Lena is a very remarkable person, and she's overcome many hurdles in her life to become the poised young woman that you'll meet tonight. I don't want to give away too much of the story, but when I first met Lena, the thing she said to me, she said, "John, I want a mom who's going to hug me every night and who will believe me sometimes." She had been in foster care for 5 years by that time, and she had a number of different homes. And as a young child, Lena was very sad and angry at times and confused, and she got in a lot of arguments with her foster siblings and her foster parents. And as these relationships soured, it became very difficult for Lena, and at one time she said she wanted to hurt herself, and it landed her in the hospital for her own safety. Lena lived in a constant state of conflict back then, so much so that she couldn't attend a regular school. And despite all this turmoil in Lena's life, Lena knew what she needed from a very young age. She knew she needed a mom who would hug her every night, and she told me she wanted to be reunited with her brother and sister. And I agreed completely. From that point on, Lena and I worked together toward achieving that goal. And it wasn't easy. First and foremost, it took an incredible amount of very hard work by Lena to do the work, to live with a family without being overwhelmed by the trauma and the grief that she had experienced as a young girl. Despite so many heartbreaking disappointments that she had had, making and losing relationships with foster families, Lena never gave up. She never gave up. She never lost focus of her dream to live with her siblings in a family. And it also took a lot of work from the Children's Law Center. I'd keep you here all night if I gave you the details of the motions and the GAL reports that we filed and the late night phone calls from Lena and from foster parents and all the court hearings that we went to and the bureaucracy that I navigated. But together, Lena and I, we saw our fair share of therapists and social workers in hospitals and schools. And thankfully, Lena had the same wonderful judge throughout that entire case. And Judge Schuker, Judge Nan Schuker is here tonight. Judge Schuker, thank you for your dedication to Lena and to her family. Lena, I am so proud to know you, and thank you for telling your story tonight. Please come on up.
Hey guys, I'm a little emotional, so. Good evening, and thank you for asking me to join you all tonight. I've never spoken in front of a lot of people, so I'm really excited to be here. So thank you, John, for standing by my side tonight. You do so many times. So to tell you my story, I want to start at the beginning. People ask me about my biological mother and my grandmother, who I lived with in DC when I was younger. I don't remember much about them except for little bits and pieces. I do know they were both addicted to drugs. But I do remember my brother and my sister. And my sister and brother, they were my world. When I was just 2, my sister took care of us. She gave us baths, basically did everything for us that a mother should do for a child, even though she was only 7. I remember being hungry and she would make hot dogs for us. And when we had baked beans, that was a good day. It didn't last though. I'm not exactly sure what happened when I went into foster care. I was about 5. Eventually my brother and sister and I split up and lived in different homes in DC. I really wanted to be with them, so I would start to make problems. I used to always say, "I want my sister, I want my sister, I want Terry, I want Terry." I remember with one foster family, I would run away from the bus stop every time school let out. Eventually I got moved again to another home. I bounced from place to place, and believe me, things were tough. It felt like I didn't have any control over where I was going to live or who would take care of me. I felt like I had to fend for myself. when I was 10, I met John from Children's Law Center, and I had so many different foster families and social workers, therapists. I remember when I first met him, when I first met John, I thought I wasn't gonna like him. But then I found out how amazing John is. He really cared, and I could call him with all of my problems and he would listen. Most importantly, John was the one who helped me find my mom and made sure that I could be with my brother and sister. So thank you, John, for everything you've done. And I really mean that. Really, it's been amazing, the whole thing. I want to tell you how I met my mom, Tara. And by that I mean my mom who adopted me. I don't really like to say adoptive mom because she's really the only mom I know. When I was 13, my brother had ended up moving to Virginia in a foster home with Tara at the time. I had moved with the foster family in Maryland, but John made sure I visited my brother every weekend. Thanks, John. At first, I was really skeptical of Tara. I didn't want my brother to give his hopes up. He wasn't in as many foster homes as I had been in, and he basically was in an institution for years, and the first place he moved to when he got out was with Tara. I didn't want him to think that he was going to be there forever because most of the time it didn't work that way. But then, once Tara and I got to know each other, we warmed up to each other, and Tara was really smart. She had these 2 dogs. One of them used to follow me around everywhere I went, at the bathroom, everywhere. And I really loved them. So I think Tara noticed, so she noticed that I wasn't communicating with her, so instead of, talking to me by herself, she would, sneak up when I was playing with the dogs and talk to me and everything. She figured out how to connect with me, and then she invited me to come live with her in her home. I'm not sure all that was involved in it, but John had to move mountains so that I could move with Tara. I had to move from Maryland to Virginia, change social workers, schools, foster homes, agencies, everything. I remember it was supposed to take a long time, but somehow it happened in a few weeks. And good thing too, because once the decision was made, I had my bags packed and I was ready to go. Once I moved in with Tara, there were some rough patches, but we all go through them, and often with a little counseling with John, we got through it. I remember one time it was really late, it's like 12 or 1, and I called John when me and my mom, we were butting heads, and I walked out, I was really upset, and I didn't know what to say or what to do, and he told me to go home and go to my room, and he told me he was going to call my mom, and I went home, and the very next day he was at my school, and we were sitting and talking about everything, all of my problems, and we worked it all out. Finally, after a few months of living with Tara, it didn't feel like I was in a foster home anymore. It felt like I was there forever. She felt like my mom. And eventually, when I was 17, my brother was 19, my mom adopted us both. It was liberating. My whole life, I wasn't a part of anything. I was just a part of this big system, and then all of a sudden, I was Lena Borsellino. And that's my mom right there. She's a little short, she's a good family. The other great news is, though I've lived in many places and went to different schools, I'm a high school graduate. I graduated last year with a high school diploma and a cosmetology license. It was very hard, but I did it, and it was one of the best days of my life. So my story tonight has a happy ending, even though it hasn't ended yet. Today I'm working 2 jobs and I own my own business to save for my future. My dream is to become a social worker so I can help kids like me. When I look back, it's hard to imagine getting here from where I started. I'm thankful to so many people for helping me throughout my journey, including my mom, Tara, my brother and sister, my boyfriend, Andre, and so many others. But I especially want to thank John and Children's Law Center for being with me every step of the way. Thank you all, and thanks for listening to my story.